rain. I just planted some grass. So a rainy day is a good day. You know what I'm saying? Sunshine, that's a good day. I called a friend of mine the other day, and man, I know, he don't check his messages and all that, right? I was almost ready to hang up, and before I hung the phone up, he had a message on, and I've been carrying that with me for a day or two. And the message is, today may not be a good day, but, y'all don't know the rest of it? Today may not be a good day, but there's something good in every day. And I almost missed that message, man. I almost missed it, But that was a hell of a message for me. Sunday, I was listening to the radio, and the guy said on the radio, he said, man, today is May the 12th, and I'm just glad to be a part of it, And that's the gratitude message. That's the gratitude message. Even if you in jail, you know what I'm saying? Be grateful, because you ain't have to be here. You know what I'm saying? I mean, every week, man, every other week, I hear about somebody dying. I don't know whether they were addict or not, but somebody is dying every week. My message for me is to learn how to enjoy my days. I don't care where I'm at. Learn how to enjoy my days, because it ain't promised to you. Man, I just had major surgery in February the 6th. I had major surgery. Had one of my kidneys taken out. And my daughter was like, Dad, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? After the surgery. It's like, girl, I'm gonna try to live the best life I possibly can. You know what I'm saying? Because it ain't no excuse. You know what I'm saying? Same thing about being in here, man. Same thing about being in here. A lot of y'all see this as being at the bottom of the barrel. No, it's somewhere worse than this. It's somewhere worse than this. Go down Greenville. You got to pay somebody to use the telephone. Oh, shit can get worse. You know what I'm saying? I mean, sometimes, man, you be grateful about where you at. You know what I'm saying? And then start trying to move up, trying to clam up. My message today is about being open-minded. You know what I'm saying? The little thing I got on the telephone, the little thing I got on the radio, if my mind won't open, I could have missed that shit. Messages are flowing all day, every day. Sometimes, and I used to be there. I was there. I choose to miss them. Not today, though. Man, I have learned how to listen. And when things are going on around me, I'm listening, man. That shit is a message, man. Did y'all see this latest thing? I know y'all look at 11 o'clock news. Y'all don't look at 11 o'clock news? Oh, man. But anyway, Sheriff Leonard over there in Chesterfield, did you hear about this, John? Yeah, they can put a device on you, if you out there and you got an urge to use, they can put a device on you, that will keep you from using. Keep you, you know what I mean? This is where we going now. This is where we going with that thing, man. It's almost a damn panic. It's almost a damn panic because so many people dying as a result of this disease, man, called using. You know what I'm saying? So many people dying from it. Now, I know over there in Chesterfield, Sheriff Leonard, he got a program over there. A lot of y'all might know about the program. He was one of the first ones. If you get out of that jail and you having problems out there in the street somewhere, they would allow you to come to the jail and spend the night. Yeah. Rather than get in trouble, they allow you to come to the jail and spend the night, you know. And you know, and my thing is, man, I don't know how y'all see it, but man, it's people in your corner, man. It's people in your corner that's trying to help the situation. You can miss that shit. You can miss it, and you can miss it easily, you know, because there's a whole lot of distractions out there. There's a whole lot of distractions out there. So it ain't hard to miss a damn message, you know. You miss that shit, man, in a blink of an eye. And then you find yourself, I ain't going to say 30 days later, but 6 months later, you find yourself on this same path again, coming back to jail, you know. And man, you be wondering, how did I get there? Because, you know, I mean, I done been there. I done kicked myself in the ass I don't know how many times, you know, for being so damn stupid. And I know I'm smarter than that. I know I'm smarter than that. You know, my resume tells me that I'm smarter than that. Graduated from high school and went to engineering school. I know damn well I'm smart. Yeah. But you can't outsmart this shit here, man. You can't outsmart this shit, man. People coming in here now with master's degrees, PhDs, shit like that. You can't outsmart this shit, man. You know? Man, all that do, man, is have you rationalizing some of the worst sort of shit in the world. When I got to here, when I got to recovery, I'm reading the basic text, and I'm saying to myself, man, some of this shit they ought to change. Why? Because I think I'm smart. And I'm sure I'm not the only one. We got some more in here. We got some more smart mofos in here that think they know it all. You know what I'm saying? They're the smartest one in the family, but they're always in jail. Smartest one in the family, or smartest one between you and your girl, but you're always in jail. Something ain't right about that picture, Jesse. Something ain't right about that. You know what I'm saying? As for me, that's where the open-minded come in at. Man, hey, John, should I tell her? Man, I got 2 kids. I got 2 kids. One of them was born when I was in the penitentiary. And both of them are lawyers. Both of them are lawyers. Because of my shit. My daughter tells my wife, I'm going to go to school, become a lawyer one day because my dad going to need my help. You know what I'm saying? My dad going to need my help. And, you know, it ain't for to put me on a pedestal. It's to allow me to see how other family members think the same way. Other family members think the same way. You know, I'm old school. They'd be like, man, that's a nice looking girl, but she can't leave that shit alone. You know, he's a nice looking young man, could have been a goddamn model somewhere, but he can't leave that shit alone. You know what I'm saying? And that's the truth, man. You know what I'm saying? I know a couple of dudes in the ground right now. I used to say the same thing about them. I was like, damn, man, Joe could have been a goddamn model in New York somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Man, Joe OD. You know? And that's the shit, man. That's the shit. You know, my thing, man, about us coming here, we come here to bring a positive message. You know, a positive message of recovery. You ain't gotta destroy yourself. You ain't gotta kill yourself. You know what I'm saying? To try to elevate yourself. You know what I'm saying? Man, the positivity is there, man. We got a brother here that was down here. Man, this shit is working, man. This shit is working, man. We got 2 or 3 people. Y'all just see what goes on here just on Tuesdays, every other Tuesday. But man, we all over this place, man. And there's things that are happening, man. You know what I'm saying? So anybody that wants to get on board, man, the freaking door is open. Freaking door is open. Man or woman, whatever. The door is open. You know what I'm saying? To come in here, man. And I mean, where we open the door, and I just told John, for some reason, man, men and women sometimes got a problem, man, asking for some help. trying to get some help. No, I don't need no help. I can do it on my own. Man, shit. That shit was good, man, 50 years ago. That shit done changed now because shit is much more complicated, you know? But anyway, man, I'm here representing Max Shin program. And Max Shin is doing some things, man. They doing some things, man. You know, we done had a couple of people that left here that ended up at Max Shin, made all the difference in the world in their lives. And I tell anybody, when you get out from the jail shit, man, you need a good start. You don't need to be going out there trying to figure out where I'm going to get my next dollar from, where I'm going to get my pack of cigarettes from, how I'm going to get from point A to point B. You know, you don't need to go out there dealing with no rough shit. You know, you need to go out there, man, and try to make things, man, as good as possible. You know what I'm saying? And you do that, man, by asking for help, man. But anyway, we got a dynamite program tonight, you know. I'm glad y'all here. I'm glad y'all a part of it. You know what I mean? I always, you know, like you said, when the positive shit, I mean, look, I look outside, I was like, damn, it's raining. I can keep my ass at home. You know what I'm saying? That's what I like to do. You know what I'm saying? Then I tell myself, no, hell no, man. You got a commitment. You know what I'm saying? Fulfill that commitment that you got. And shit, I sent Steve a text. I said, Steve, I'm on my way. I ain't gonna miss this. But the man that started this all, the man that's responsible for all of this, man, John, come on up, John. Y'all know him?
You Mike.
Yeah.
Man, y'all give Marshall a hand, man. He does a good job lighting us up.
Yeah. Hey, John, get him started. Get him started, man.
I ain't got to do nothing. You already done that.
Okay, we started now.
You did get me thinking, though. You know, I have been coming in here about 20 years, you know, off and on, you know, 5 years straight, take a couple years off, another 5 years, whatever. And I'm seeing some of the same people in the community coming in here all these years. I don't see enough of the alumni, the people coming through these programs, sticking and staying and coming back doing what me and Marshall are doing.
Yeah. Give back.
But we got Greg. He gonna come up in a minute and say a few words. He was one of y'all for sure. But you know, you touched on Sheriff Leonard in the HARP program. He got a hell of an alumni building up. You know, and there's no reason why we can't get an alumni. Rise been around a long time. They still call us Rise. Y'all been around 20 years, 25 years, however long it's been. You know, Sheriff Wade years ago tried to get an alumni going. He had a little juice going, but it died off. Y'all give that some thought. You know, half of y'all make great hope dealers, okay? Get involved. This is the kind of stuff, when you hear stuff in NA like it, an addict can stop using drugs, lose that desire to use drugs, and find a new way to live. See, an alumni is a new way to live. Giving back is a new way to live. And if that keeps you coming in here as a guest like we come in here instead of a housing situation, that's a good hit. I'm always grateful for Sheriff Gregory to let us up in here. I'm always grateful for the staff. They take the time out to, you know, get us in here, and you do a great job. We appreciate that. They don't harass us. A lot of jails harass us when we come in. They shake down your speakers. Sheriff lets us bring in good speakers. And as you can see, we brought in one of your folks in here tonight. Bruno got out a few weeks ago. He came to McShin. He's on fire, man. He kept asking me, when can I go back? When can I go back? I said, we got to get Jesse to approve it. You know, it takes a minute. But, you know, Bruno, he's doing fabulous, man. He really is. You know, y'all might, is that good, Jesse? I remember you coming out before, too, doing fabulous. So this is a word to wise to both of you, you know. But Bruno wanted to say a few words. Come on up, Bruno. Give Bruno a hand, man. Now, he got some meat fat on him, not that stuff. Yeah.
What's up, everybody? These are my guys right here, man. I know a lot of you guys. Yeah, but some of you guys I like, some of you guys I don't, but I miss y'all. I got to say that. I wanted to come back to see your faces and say hello. Oh, come on, man. Anyways, hold up. I was in here. You guys all know me. You know, I just left recently. I was here 2 years ago. That's when my journey started. You know that. I've been for the last 2.5 years here or in prison. And 2 years ago, I met John when he was coming over here. Patrick was, what were you, advisor back then. I was advisor back then. And John came in and gave a message of hope. And I took that message and it stayed with me. And I was depressed at that time. I knew I was going to do 2.5 years. I went to prison, got transferred back here on January 10th. And that's when I saw John was still coming, you know, and I always liked the RICE program. We talk, we get to have a better time than Jail West. Everybody knows it's better. You know, food's better, the people are better. So I really enjoy thinking about what I'm going to do next, you know, and it got me really anxious knowing that I was going to get in the streets and I had nothing. I have my family, I have things from before, but I don't have a wife anymore. You guys know my story. You know, my wife is gone. My dog is gone. I lost my house. So I said, what am I going to do? I'm going to get out. I got to get my license back. I got to get a car. So I'm already getting into that zone where I'm anxious. You know, I don't know what to do. So I thought about what John told me. And I said, I want to take it a day at a time. And Mexican had the doors open for me as soon as I get out. You know, they let me in. So if I can do it, y'all can do it. You know, they let me in. I'm having a great time. You know, instead of it is intensive, what I'm doing, you can choose your path. I suggest intensive, you know, just to help you out in the beginning. They take you where you go. You do these classes, but you get to have fun. We go whitewater rafting. We do barbecues. We go to cookouts. And every day is different, you know. So it's been 3 weeks. Now I'm still in that mindset, you know. We've been locked up. We've been locked up for a long time. I've been with you guys. You know how it is. We still got that mindset where we're still in the system, you know. But I take it a day at a time right now because of McShin. I get to take it a day at a time. I get to learn a new pathway, a new way of life, but a day at a time. And they help me with everything. They've helped me with Medicare. They helped me get my IDs. They help me even, I've been job offers all the time and opportunities are coming. So I'm about to finish the 28-day program. And luckily enough, I'm being allowed to go into a PRS, become a peer recovery specialist, you know? So that's what I want to do. And that's going to be my new pathway. And I think everybody here, if you're sitting right here, you know that I've been right where you are at. So if I can do it, any of you can do it. It doesn't matter what your background is, what you've done before. You got to learn to let go of that shame. And that's what they teach you. Every day we have classes. Shit, we have yoga classes, meditation classes. We have classes about feelings. You know, the same shit that we did in here. But in here, you got to keep up that, you know, that personality that everybody knows. You know, we hide shit. Can't talk about it all the time. The RICE program was great. It taught us a lot. But it was the beginning of something. And we got to finish it. We got to get out and keep going. So I'm not leaving McShin. I'm going to stay in sober living. I'm going to stay as long as I can because one thing I don't want, I miss all of you guys. You know, but I don't miss this place and I don't want to come back here. So if you want a new way of life, come out, come see me. I'll be there. You know what I'm saying? Whatever you got, come meet us and find a new way to live. Find a new goal, you know, become something. And any of you can do it. Just remember that. That's all I got to say. Thank you, guys. It's great seeing you. Thank you.
You know, I think we got like half a dozen guys from the Rise over there now from West. So you're coming, and that's good. Doors open. We hope you do come. As you know, we got a third wheel coming down here now, helping me and Marshall out because we're both getting old, breaking down. It's hard to find young guys, but we found another old, broken down guy. Greg, come on up. I think, Greg, are you a Rise alumni too? Nah, he's the DOC alum.
Hi, everybody. I'm Greg. I'm still an alcoholic and an addict. When I got arrested in 1985 down to city jail, I didn't know anything about any kind of programs except trying to survive and stay alive. I was talking to somebody earlier today. I was at a meeting. They needed somebody to chair the meeting. So I volunteered to do that. And I was talking to somebody, and I want to ask somebody this question because I want to make sure that I'm not by myself. In 1985, my life sucked so bad. I was drinking about a fifth of alcohol a day and doing about 3.5, 4 grams of cocaine a day. That was every day. And I prayed. Am I the only one that prayed that I would get arrested? I prayed that I would get arrested. Now, that wasn't a stretch. That wasn't a far stretch because I was selling drugs. I was involved in all kinds of illegal activity. And I remember one night I was in a nightclub and a couple of narcotics agents came up to me, and I knew who they were. And I knew them. It was a guy named Gary Clark and a guy named Bukovic. I'm sure they're both retired and gone by now. And they said, "Hey, Greg, we're coming to get you soon." I said, "Well, can you make it sooner rather than later? Because I'm dying." And then a couple of weeks later, a few weeks later, I can't remember when it was, they came and got me. And I went down to the city jail, down on G1, 1985, got out on bond. It was April 2nd, 1985, got out on bond, got arrested again April 9th. The same guy set me up the week later that I'd grown up with. I knew him all my life since I was a kid. And he had gotten in some trouble. And I remember when I got out, 5.5 years I spent incarcerated. Then I went to a program for a year. Then I finally got back out to the streets, started working, started trying to rebuild my life. And I ran into that guy one day that set me up. And I went over to thank him, and he ran down the street. I was going over to thank him for saving my life. And that's what happened when I got arrested. And I got to tell you something today, through a God of my understanding, the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, McShin Foundation, John's been very instrumental in my recovery. I'm just so thankful and grateful for the life I have today. And I'm not that person I used to be. I was sorry. I'd rob, steal, take, whatever. It didn't make any difference. I did whatever I needed to do to keep up this facade and this image that I was living, trying to be something I'm not and somebody I'm not. And I ended up on G1 down to city jail. It was like being in the jungle. This is probably a holiday compared to being down to city jail in 1985. You could smoke back then. You know, they had the canteen, and I mean, you had everybody all mixed on one floor. But I said I never want to go back to that. Never want to go back through that experience again. It was traumatizing. It was traumatizing. And I remember praying one night. I weighed 285 pounds when I went into prison. I weighed 190 when I got out. Played spades all day. We played tunk. We played hearts. And we did push-ups all day. And I remember praying one night that God would take my appetite and help me to get back on track. And I got real sick in the middle of the night. And I went in, I was throwing up. I was sick as a dog. And from that day forward, I started eating properly. I started doing exercise. I came out, I weighed 190 pounds, and I was doing 16, 17, 1,800 push-ups a day. Pop and lock. Won't the kind put your chin down, it was the pop and lock. That kind of deal. And then I went to a rehab program that I was in when I got arrested. And I'm so thankful for that program. It was down on 919 West Gray Street. It was part of Human Resources, part of the methadone clinic. And those people gave me a roadmap to follow. The program of Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, and those people in that program gave me a roadmap to follow. If you do these things and you do this, you will have an opportunity to stay sober and clean. And I stayed sober and clean for 19 years. And then my mother died. And I didn't share that pain with anybody that I was going through watching her. She was my hero. Thought about this Mother's Day. Went out there to the cemetery, sat and cleaned her stone off and cried and thanked her and prayed and all that stuff with her. And I never shared that with anybody. Eventually, I made a decision to drink to try to numb the pain. I didn't want to tell anybody. My topic this morning at the meeting was, I have to tell on myself. Secrets will kill me. If I try to do it all by myself and not tell anybody what I'm going through and how I'm feeling, I'm going to end up getting drunk again or getting high. But today I can sit with another addict, alcoholic, sit with my sponsor, and I can cry. I can be who I am today. I don't have to pretend to be something or somebody I'm not anymore, some big tough guy getting the shit kicked out of me most of the time. I lost more fights than I won, I can promise you that. But hurt people. I wanted to inflict the pain that I was feeling on somebody else. And there's people out there that had pain and hurt too that they were trying to inflict on me. Today, I sit with another addict, an alcoholic. It's the most wonderful thing in having a gut level conversation with another addict or alcoholic and just talking about how I'm feeling, what's going on in my life. And I've got a pretty good life today. I got a wife, I got a home, I got a job, I got responsibility. I love coming down here to the jail. It's a good reminder for me, and I can reflect back to 1985 just like it was yesterday and remember. And I don't want to go through that again. I don't have to go through that again. I have a choice today. Two things happen when I wake up in the morning. I have a chance and I have a choice. My choice today is to stay sober and do whatever it takes to stay sober. I asked a new person this morning at a meeting I was chairing real quick. I'll end with this because we got a great speaker tonight. I asked him, he said, I'll do whatever it takes to stay sober. I said, okay, that's great. I said, well, I need somebody to help make the coffee. He said, oh, no, I can't do that. I said, you can't make the fucking coffee? Didn't you just tell me you do whatever it takes to stay sober? I said, man, get away from me with that bullshit. You need to go find somebody else to help you then, because I can't help you if you can't be willing to make coffee after you just told me you do whatever it takes to stay sober. I have to make sacrifices, and I have to come share my story, and I have to give back. And I'm so thankful to be sober and clean today. And it's not my doing. It's the grace of God working through me to be a vessel to show you people that my sorry ass can stay sober. You can too. I'm so glad to be here, and I look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks.
Good job, Greg. I'm so glad you teamed up with us. I met him, what'd you say, 39 years? 39 years. I was a speaker in a treatment center, and he was in the treatment center. He did real well. Then a couple of months later, I seen him at prison. I was doing a prison meeting. I said, didn't I just see you in treatment? What did I not hold my hands right when I carried my message? Anyways, our speaker tonight, I've known him forever. I got him to be my sponsor 38 years ago, maybe 39. He's been my sponsor forever. I call him periodically, make sure I'm good. He's been a great sponsor. They say get a sponsor. And a lot of people, they think sponsors are some hard ass that drive you nuts. Not Kermit, man. He's been the best sponsor anybody could ever have, man. But he drove down from the mountains. He lives a long way from here. It takes him an hour and a half to get here. He drove down just to share his message and drive back. And I assured him we had a great group of people down here. They always love our speakers, and I ain't going to take up no more of his time. Come on up, Kermit. Give Kermit a warm welcome. Mama named him after a frog.
Oh, my God. Right. I taught him everything I know, and he still knows nothing. My name's Kermit, and I'm an addict. Some of you guys got that shit. Okay. Clean today through the grace of God, Narcotics Anonymous. Tickled pink to be here. I love this shit. No, I mean it. I love this shit. Right. Enough about me. Let's talk about me. Right? My favorite subject. I used to worry about speaking until somebody told me the percentages. They said that 20% of you will listen to every word I say and hang on every phrase. 20% of you won't listen to anything I have to say because you know much more than I do. And the other 60% of you will be lost in your own sexual fantasies. You decide which percentage. Oh, God. I walked into my first 12-step meeting in August 1979. I was in treatment wearing what the well-dressed addict, blue pajamas. When you're treatment, after 2 weeks, you're well, right? And they sick you on the newcomers. A little group of newcomers came down the hall and get me. They were going to carry the light to me. I said, we're going to go to this alcohol meeting. I thought, shit, I'm a social chameleon. I can fit in. You tell me the game plan. I went down with the little troop smiling. A little different than this. I was 26 years old. I was the lead singer in a new wave punk band. And I looked around the room, and there's these 40 and 50-year-old guys with big red noses and pot bellies out there, bald back there. They said, if you want what we've got. And I said, fuck no. I'd be willing to go to anything like that to catch that shit, whatever. I quit drinking for the next 2 years. Went through 2 more treatment centers, strung out on heroin, but I was still sober. Right? Right. Yeah. Oh, God. That was treatment number 1. I'll give you a clue, right? I got out of treatment. I did Kermit Anonymous. I don't suggest it as a program of recovery. No meetings, no sponsors. Go to the places where you play rock and roll and drink Coca-Colas and show them how cool you are that you're clean. And I relapsed. Duh. I have a to lapse. Called treatment center. I think I need a refresher course. First time didn't take. They're kind of like the fellowship. We love you. Keep coming back. That'll be $10,000. I had to go through 3 treatments, have insurance pay $30,000 to find out that the meetings are free. Here I'm in my second. I'm taking this one seriously, guys, ladies. I get caught naked with a girl in treatment. Then you got to go to the group and apologize. Like, I'm sorry I threatened her sobriety. Can we sit on other kinds of couches? Selfless service. Went at the end of the road. I remember I went to the AA meeting at 90 days because back then you got a white chip and then you had to wait 90 days for the next one. And the old timer AA lady sneered at me. I said, well, screw that shit. I was supposed to pick up my son for the summer. You know, I did one of those geographics. I moved from Boston to Virginia to get away from a PO officer that wanted me to do all kinds of shit. I said, you know, I walk in his office. I said, I'm moving to Virginia. He said, you can't do that. I'm like, I've got a business opportunity. So, well, you'll have to talk to White Plains, New York, where you got busted. And I went down there and I said, I'm moving to Virginia. She says, it's okay with your PO? I said, yep. I said, okay, we'll move the paperwork. That was the last I saw that fucker. And so my wife said, good, right? We call it a geographic when you move from one place to another to get away from the problem and you bring the problem with you, right? And I'm supposed to get my son for the summer, so we're going to meet up in New York at my brother's high school graduation, and I got there first, and Mom left her pocketbook. First National Bank of Mom, no penalty for any withdrawal, right? Just going to take a 20. I'm just going to do 1, 5, 10, me nodding out at the front of my brother's high school graduation. And my wife's been to some of these classes, and she pulls me aside, and she says, you can't have Brian for the summer. I said, well, I can't? I said, no, and you know what? I'm tired of telling him. You're going to tell him. 11 o'clock at night, I had to tell his 5-year-old boy he couldn't spend summer with Dad. Brian says, well, why, Dad? And I said, well, you can't. He says, why? Because I'm sick, and I'm doing drugs, and it's not your fault. I'm sorry. He cried to Mom, and I went to the bathroom to get off. Wandered back to Virginia, got in a relationship with a married woman whose husband taught at UVA, and the guy went away for the weekend, and she invited me over. I'm obliging. What a setup. Guy decides to hitchhike home from DC, right? 3 hours, gets all the way back to his house, happy to be home, climbs the hill, happy to, front door, happy to be home, walks up opens the door to the fine sight of me doing it to his wife. And I was a friend of his. He said, "Get out!" I got out. I sat in my car at the bottom, man. I was at the bottom. I felt ashamed. I felt embarrassed. I felt disgusted with myself. They had a 2-year-old kid and they got divorced. Called my therapist. I said, "I think I need to go to treatment." He said, "Well, the treatment center won't take you anymore." I hung up the phone. There was only one in Charlottesville. I didn't wait for anything else. I just hung up the phone. Then I hear the still quiet voice, right? If you stick around here a little while, you'll start hearing it. It says, "You know that UVA has a street clinic 12 blocks from your house. You could go there." I was like, okay. Like, walk in this thing and get this guy's card, Martin, right? He says, "Come back, see Martin tomorrow." I'm like, okay. Walk in his office. First words out of his mouth, he says, "You know Wesley?" I said, "Yeah, he's my dealer." His tall brother, right? So I sent Wesley to treatment in Hampton. He's got 6 months clean. Wonder why the dope was short. So that's what we're going to do with you. I was like, "Oh no, Martin, I can't." I had no fight left. Went to my last connection, bought $200 worth of heroin, drove across the state from Charlottesville to Hampton. And when I got there, I was stone cold straight. I could do mass amounts of dope, and all they did was take the sick off for a little while. Landed in this Peninsula Hospital in 1981, and they had flipped floors, so the psych unit was downstairs, and we were upstairs. So guess where detox was? Clang in the psych crazy fucking space. When I'm lying in this bed with a fucking thing around the bulb so I won't break it and kill myself. I'm like, oh my God, I'm never gonna get this shit. After 7 days, you had to stop shaking. After 7 days, I go, "Oh, it looks good to me, doc." They let me get out for the meeting, and some people came down the hall, said the words that were going to change my life. They said, "Would you like to go to an NA meeting?" I said, "Yeah." See, the AA lady told me there was this thing called Narcotics Anonymous. It was in California. That's all she knew about recovery for addiction in 1979, right? I walked into the Monday night recovery group of NA. I weighed 50 pounds, okay, get honest, 150 pounds less than I do. There's growth in recovery. Oh man, I was a fucking beanpole, right? I'm in this blue pajamas, my skin's yellow, my hair's matted up, my tooth chips in half. And when I sat down in the meeting, I knew the women were checking me out. Regular stud muffin. Right? I was so crazy, I had to build a world around me I could feel comfortable, you know? And they read out a little white book, the little reading cards that they have at the meetings. It says, "One is too many, 1,000 never enough." I said, "No shit." If you don't pick it up, you can't get loaded. What? I thought you had to be a rocket scientist to get this shit. They told me to surrender. I didn't get it. Nobody I lived with, nobody I ran with, everybody controlled the shit out of everything. There's no fucking surrender. No boundaries. Physical, sexual, no boundaries. I did 2 things right in treatment, right? And I wrote a 4-step. It was really a first step. Every time I got high and got in trouble, it was 72 pages, both sides. And I heard an NA speaker. And this guy was tough, man. Motorcycles, chains down to his nuts. Like, I'm in blue pajamas, right? You want a piece of me? I scared us, mother. He'd been through 12 treatment centers and state-run psychiatric. He'd been in our eastern state, western state, bad places. You do not want to get in here. Criminally insane stuff. Last time he was in western state over the mountains, they said, "If you come back here again, we're going to put you on the other side of the fence where you never come out." This guy had 40 white chips. He tried to get clean 40 times, and I'm a 3-time loser. He finished his talk, and he sat back down. And at the end of the meeting, they called him up to the front of the room, and they gave him his 1-year medallion. I said, "A year, that's forever." If that crazy son of a bitch. That guy's name was Billy Easton, and he died with 32 years clean in Narcotics Anonymous. He got into tattoos, right? He was all tatted up. He had a girlfriend do tattoos. They opened tattoo parlors, and he did NA conventions, so he learned how to do conventions. He started doing NA conventions at Madison Square Garden. This guy was bringing down $100K a pop, right? Yeah. Yeah. I got to the end of my stay. They wanted me to go to halfway house for 6 months. I knew they were right, so I called on my higher power. Her name's Patty. I don't know. I called my girlfriend. She said, "Oh no, I crawled in there. What should I tell? Tell me you made your mind up." I went back to group. I made my mind up. That's how I left treatment, with everybody saying I was going to be loaded by nightfall. They were right. Drove from Hampton through Richmond out to Charlottesville. I saw a sign that said 7 miles to town. The disease started talking loud. I get some money. We're going to get some dope. We're not just going to hear you. Moved out of my brother's house because he was shooting heroin. I couldn't stay there. So I moved in with my best friend who was only dealing cocaine. I made a decision. Got in this hippie apartment at the top of Barracks Road where Jimmy had thrown a mattress in an empty room, and I just laid there shaking, right between the rock and a hard place. And something inside of me cracked, and I told him the truth. I said, all I'm thinking about is how can I get away from you? I don't know how to do this shit. I'm really scared. And she said, there's an AA meeting tonight. I said, okay. Folks, 1981, they were not thrilled to see addicts in their AA meetings, right? Went to a meeting with 50 people in the room, all going around the room. My name's Betty. I'm alcoholic. Room go, all right, Betty. I said, my name's Kermit, and I'm a drug addict. And 3 people said hello. There was a hush. And I didn't care, right? Something's changing. Round robin, and always come to the last person. I'm sitting there, and I'd raise my hand. I tell him my shit, and this good old boy sitting next to me, the redneck, he had the answer. I just smile, and you won't believe this idiot says to me, he says, "Just don't get high today." I went, "What? You mean till I go to bed?" I said, "Yeah." Well, I could do that. So, okay. I woke up the next morning clean. And I knew without a shadow of a doubt I never had to use again the rest of my life, one day at a time in the 12-step meetings. September 6th, I celebrated 42 years clean in Narcotics Anonymous. Yeah. I couldn't get 42 days. I don't know if I got 42 years. I had a second surrender the next morning, and it's the one we missed. It's part 2. My life was none of my business. Right? Every time I made my life my business, I wound up in here, or I wound up in blue pajamas every fucking time, sometime. Not the next day, not the next month, not the next year, but eventually. Went to every meeting we had, and after it was 9 months clean. This was good. I was watching people doing the 3rd step, right? I'm turning it over, man. I'm making a decision. I'm giving it to God, right? They didn't want to do a 4-step, right? So they just want to talk good shit about step 3, right? Step 4 is got to do fucking inventory. Let's talk about that later. We're just going to be hip. I want to be cool, right? So I start looking for God's will in everything, right? There's a red light here, and there's going to be an accident up ahead. And God was like, oh, come on. Napkin fall. It's a sign from God. And I tell sponsors, if you want to know where God is, he's right on the other side of willingness. Every time I'm willing, that's when doors open. That's when magic happens. That's when things get fixed, right? So I get into Patty's car. I still don't have a car. Right? And there's a letter from the sheriff's department. I knew they wanted me to come speak, right? It was a warrant for my arrest. Writing nothing you guys have ever done. Writing checks knowing there's no funds. One of these checks had gotten lost for a whole year, right? I'm pissed, right? I'm doing all this good shit, right? I hold this up and I said, all right, God, what are you going to do about this one? And the Beatles song came on the radio. There will be an answer, let it be. I've heard from the almighty Paul McCartney. That's as close to let go and let God as you get, right? There will be an answer, let it be, right? So I let go and let God. I gave it the problem to God, act as if he's already taken care of it, and just do the next right thing. Didn't worry about it till the day before court. That day I was a nervous wreck. Got dressed in a nice suit, having a little AA book. I'm right. I love what Richard Pryor says. I went there for justice, and that's what I found. Just us. They're all addicts, right? Here, have a white book. Here, have a meeting list. Keep coming back, right? They call my name, and I'm doing the long walk. God grant me Henrico. Because it's the judge. You know the judge. The one who said, if I see you here in this court again, I'm going to try you the floor. That judge, right? I walk up to this guy. He says, Mr. Osborne, you want to tell us something about this check? I said, well, Your Honor. He said, hold it. Calls the lawyer over Safeway. He says, Counselor, do you recognize this check's a year old? He said, well, yes. He said, you can't prosecute this man in a criminal case for a check that's a year old. He said, well, I can't. So you can prosecute in a civil suit and get your money back unless, Mr. Osborne, you're here to pay what you owe. What do you think? Yes, Your Honor, that's what I'm here to do. He said, pay the man $32, case dismissed. I didn't get to open my mouth. I was a newcomer. I was going to be, yes, I broke into that cigarette machine when I was 12 years old. I threw the rocks off the bridge. God didn't want, right? Learned a couple things about God around here, right? The difference between my will and God's will is results. When it's my will, the results are good for me, nobody else, they peter out. When it's God's will, the results are good for me and everyone else. It's like a piece of puzzle, fits just right. The disease of addiction talks loud and rational. It's always saying, this is what you got to do. This is what we have to do. This is what we better do. And God talks quietly and suggestively. God says, you might not want to do that. You might want to try this, right? We talk about listening for the still, quiet voice. My voice was so loud I couldn't hear shit, right? That's one of the reasons we do step work, so we can get our loud voice out so we can hear, right? 5 years clean, I had a meltdown. I wasn't calling my sponsor in Memphis, Tennessee. I was going to Memphis, Tennessee to get an NA sponsor. That's how far I was willing to go. And, I wasn't calling Joseph, and I knew I needed somebody local, so I grabbed this guy, Michael, at the steps of our convention. And I had done this for a while. I said, Michael, he said, yeah. I said, would you be my sponsor? And tears came up in his eyes. He said, I'd be honored to be your sponsor. Honor. He said, where are you at in these steps? I said, I don't know, 7, 1. You tell me, I'm lost, right? So what's the last thing you did? I said, I wrote the first 3 steps and sent them to Joseph. He said, great, we're going to do a 4th step. I said, hot dog, I can screw up for a year now. We had this killer 500-page questionnaire about your mother's sex life and everything. I was like, I can screw up for a year now. He said, no, I just want you to write about 3 things. I said, what's that? Resentment, sex, and fear. I said, I could do that in a sentence. He said, really? I said, yeah, I was resentful and fearful that my wife wouldn't give me sex. You got to give him an addict a date, right? So he gave me a date so you won't flounder forever, so 30 days or something like that. And I went home and I was learning to be a travel agent. I got a job working at NASA. It was fucking cool as shit, man, sending people on the Mars project. And so I asked God's help and I started writing, and I wrote, I felt abandoned when Georgie left home, and I started to cry. My sister left home when I was like 14 and she was 17. Now, when I say I felt abandoned, here's my family theme song. You might catch it. Doodly-doo, doodly-doo, doodly. Yeah. I tell them, creepy, kooky, spook, I got to handle that shit. My family, My father was a big cigar smoking lawyer. He pushed the bicycle, said pedal. That was the only life information he gave me. Not how to go to school, not how to do homework, not how to open a bank account, not how to talk to a woman, nothing. My mother was a depressive. When my father left town for a long time, she let the cats and dogs go around the house. We had 29 cats and 3 dogs, and nobody cleaned up after them at the end. My father remarried a younger woman, my stepmother, and she was hip, right? She had run away from her dad, who in Long Island was trying to molest her, went to Harlem and became friends with Wilson Pickett, the Staple Singers, that whole soul crowd. So my stepmom and dad picked us up from school, my brother and I, and pulled out a joint, and I got stoned with them. My stepmom and I got the giggles and started laughing and fell out on the lawn. And we bonded, and she started looking out for this poor kid in this crazy family. She gave him cool clothes and a little afro, which got bigger. Purple shirt, orange pants, piece. I had brother Mikey. Mikey was a 5-year-old boy, as sweet as can be, happy, blonde-haired kid. Everybody, he had 7 brothers and sisters who loved him. Mikey's sitting in an apartment in the Bronx, and he leaned on the screen. He heard a siren, and the screen fell out, and my brother Mikey dropped 13 floors and died. And my stepmother was inconsolable. She cried and wept every day. And my father would give her a glass of liquor and say, drink this, you can get through the service. Drink this, you can get through the families coming over. She drank a gallon of vodka a day for 20 years and ended up in hemorrhaging and bleeding to death in an apartment in Queens because nobody come and see her anymore. Not before molesting me when I was 17. So when I say I felt abandoned when my sister left home, you know what I'm talking about, right? I shared all that shit with Michael, and then he shared to me about his father, who was violent, and the alcoholism and the beatings that he grew under. And at the end, he took my paper, rolled it up in a tube, and said, not forever or always, but at this moment in time, are you entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character? all this pain and all this hurt? And I said, yeah. And we bowed our heads and shared that willingness with God. Put those papers in his front lawn in Virginia Beach, lit them on fire. He said, we're going to humbly ask God to remove our shortcomings. This whole deal is about humility, right? And I thought humility, you talk long. That's humble. That's all fucking different, right? Gandhi had humility, right? Gandhi stopped eating salt, British salt. Everybody, with some of his buddies, everybody in India stopped eating British salt. It would have crippled the British economy. They took their bags and walked out. They couldn't get these fuckers out for years. Mother Teresa went to Calcutta, India without a penny in her pocket, built a huge hospice building where they take dying people off the street, they wash them, put them in beds where they can die with dignity. Dr. King walked around America and spoke. Okay, he got shot, right? But he spoke, right? He just spoke. And a brother of America, right? And a sister's vice president, right? Humility is powerful, right? My son Brian he calls me, he says, Dad, you got to come to Arizona. I said, why, Brian? He says, I'm going to be 50. You want to feel old, have a kid turn 50. Okay. And step away from the speakers. Yes, sir. Assume the position. Yeah, I know. Right. But my son Brian is 50 years old. He's an artist. He's a sweet guy, humble guy. And the only reason he's like that is because NA taught his father how to be a human being. Before I came to NA, the only thing I could do is teach him how to use like a pig. I've lost 3 sisters and a stepmother in the last 4 or 5 years. My baby sister, Juliet, came in behind me and she passed away with 36 years clean. My sister Dee Dee got an AA. She called my sister Julie, the meeting was really good tonight. Like, Julie, we got to go to meeting part. Let's work with that for right now. And she died with 14 years. And my stepsister, Suzanne Sylvia, who got most of my stepmother's alcoholism, she had heard me speak in Connecticut. I took her to the World in Florida, and she was just picked up her 1 year. She had an obesity problem due to the pituitary gland, and she had pneumonia and didn't call the doctor, so didn't go to the doctor, and she died trying to get out of her bed. She had just picked up her 1 year. My father remarried my stepmom, Zan, that I did tons of heroin with, and she passed away with 36 years last 2 months ago. I got a car and a dog. Now I have to walk the fucking dog every day, right? And I'm praying to God to lose weight, right? So it gives me a damn dog. I got to walk every fucking. Oh, I was like, part of my prayers, I'm like, thank you, God, for relieving me of my rapidly dwindling weight as I exercise, stretch, drink an abundance of water each day, do leg lifts, crunches, walk or swim 1.5 miles or more each day, 3 moderate meals with nothing in between, surrender the evil sugars and fats and carbohydrate, and so that I may have a slim, trim, pain-free, flat chest, flat ab, high self-esteem adult life in old age. Prayed that for 7 years, and God gave me leukemia, and I lost 100 pounds in 1 year. Okay, I'll be more specific next time. Right? That's what people were talking about earlier. You can do what, I got here, and this guy said, yeah, you can do whatever you want. I said, really? As long as you're willing to pay the price. The trouble is we don't know what the price is. My sponsee, Zach, went back out. He called me, Hey, Kermit. I said, what, Zach? He said, can a monkey sell bananas? I'm like, no, Zach. He said, okay, just checking. He's too loaded to take his right medicine, and they cut his leg off all the way from here. Gone. Yeah. The guy says, yeah, if you do that, you'll be a problem, my therapist, right? I'm like, problem. What's the fucking problem? Lost my house, my wife, my business, an inheritance, a business building. She put our 3 dogs to sleep, my children. I had a year of depression. I owed the IRS $150,000. If somebody says there's going to be a problem, I'm going to listen. I don't want a problem. Thank you. Right? My oldest sister, Georgette, has 22 years in Al-Anon. Thank God. My baby brother, Henry's got 38 years in NA. and he's a counselor. That's all that's left of my family of 7. Okay, we'll tell that one and wind it up, right? I was having a little trouble with women. You line 7 of them up in a row, and I'll pick the sick one every time. I don't know where I learned that, right? Oh, God. Right? After this incredible disaster of losing everything in my life, which I thought was the very worst thing that could ever happen to me, I moved in with my crazy mother in New York, who now had round-the-clock nurses, and the city would only let her have 2 cats. And I came back to Virginia to speak at this conference we had down in Buckrow next to Hampton, Newport News. And this girl came up to me. I met her in 1983 at the World Convention in New York. And I didn't see her again for 15 years. God saying, you two are fucking no. And she comes up to me after my talk and she said, you were divorced and miserable a year ago. I want to know how you got from divorced to happy. And I said, okay, here's my card. I got a pager. And she's paging me. I'm helping her, right? She's an only child. Her mother's dying of cancer. She's in a divorce. I'm not trying to get nothing. I'm being of service. Everything I have in my life has come from being of service, right? So sex came up, I said, I don't need to get laid. I just wouldn't mind having someone to hold because I was married for 10 years, 9 years. And she said, well, I could do that. I was like, okay. I tell my sponsor, Richard from Jersey, he said, get out of here, man. Go down there. I said, you think? Right? I don't fucking know. Right? I'm the last one to know half the fucking time, right? So I took a risk and I called her up and I said, I'd like to come visit you. She said, when? I said, it's Wednesday. How about Friday? She said, okay. And I flew down to Baltimore. There was this cheapy thing on US Air. And I got off the plane. We had a wild weekend. I came home and I was doing more courses on my life. And there was a graduation ceremony and you could invite anybody. And all these nice women from Manhattan. I'm like, screw this. This is the girl I like. I called her up. I said, will you come to my graduation? She said, sure. So how you want me to get there? I said, I'll send you a ticket. She got off the plane and I realized I wanted to spend the rest of my life with her. When you tell NA people that, the negative committee, oh no, you got her for 6 months, find out who she really is. Right? When God says no, yes, there's no maybe about it. I moved her into my place about 6 months and then I was asked to speak in Palm Springs, California, right? 4,000 people Saturday night, right? And we got out there and they had this deal where you could rent a yacht. Fucking crazy addict. I threw him the card, right? And said, I didn't tell her. We went out for dinner right on the beach and we got out on the dock and, she says, is this a surprise? I said, yeah, I paid that guy to play music over there. And the captain comes up ready to board. She said, you rented the yacht. Said, yeah, man. I got up on this boat. I said, you got any tunes? He said, well, there's some cassettes. Found Sinatra. Right? Let's throw Frank in there. She wanted to go up on the flight. This girl was so drop dead gorgeous, right? My wife's old gray hair, and I'm hanging on with both fucking claws, right? This woman is so gorgeous. We were at a convention in South America, and a guy walked into the swimming pool because he couldn't take his eyes off her. He's like, all his buddies go, ah! We pull out into this thing, and he knows where the fireworks go off in San Diego, so he's going to pull us right under the SeaWorld fireworks. I'm on a yacht, right? I'm on a yacht with the love of my life in San Diego Harbor, getting ready to speak in front of 4,000 recovering addicts, and Sinatra singing, that's life. Shot down in March and up in May. And I thought to myself, if I used during that 11-year crisis, I'd have missed the whole fucking thing. We say, don't stop 5 minutes before the miracle. That woman is my wife, and we've been just celebrated 25 years of marriage. Yeah. Right. I had this sponsee that used to ask me about girls all the time. He said, I gotta find the right girl around here. I gotta find the right girl. I just gotta relapse king. And I said, okay. I said, I want you to go write down what that right girl has. I want to know her likes, dislikes, everything about her. And I don't want to hear another fucking word until you're finished with this assignment. He comes back to me 2 weeks later with a mangled piece of paper. Says, here, read it. I'm like, no, Bill, read it to me. He said, well, She's got red hair and green eyes and a perfect hourglass figure. She's gorgeous, and she likes to cook and clean. And she's well off financially, and she likes to wake me up with coffee and cigarettes in the morning. And whenever we're in a group and I come in, she sort of backs off and gives me center stage. And pretty dynamite woman you're explaining there, Bill. He said, well, yeah. I said, now would a woman like that go out with a shit like you? He said, no. I said, the idea, Bill, is to make yourself into the kind of man that would attract that kind of woman. And the woman asked her sponsor about, finding the right guy. And he said, well, I want to know the characteristics, and it's like, he's honest and caring and recovery oriented and compassionate and, Boy Scouts of America. And her sponsor looked at her and said, good, now you have to do all those things. Somebody said, we're attracted to our level of pathology. I said, what's that? And he said, we're attracted to our level of sickness. But the reverse is true as well. We're attracted to our level of wellness, right? So the healthier I get, the less attractive, you got these guys that go back to the same person, girls go back to the same guy over and over again. And I told my sponsor, I said, yeah, it's like making love to a porcupine. He said, really? I said, yeah, you didn't get all you wanted, but you got all you could stand. Ouch. Thank you. No more porcupines. Yeah. Right. They're right. Get this guy out of here. Okay, 2. 1, 2. It's a 1-2 punch. Okay. 3 strikes. Right. Thanks for sharing. Right. Right. I've carried this message to conventions and meetings in Narcotics Anonymous, England, France, Germany, Norway, Finland, Sweden, Denmark, Holland, Belgium, Riga, Latvia, Kiev, Ukraine, Moscow, St. Petersburg, Turkey, Israel, Greece, South Africa, Iceland, Calcutta, 40 to 50 states, 3 provinces in Canada, Bermuda, Bahamas, Panama, and Egypt. 40 to 50 states, right? Hell yeah. Yeah. I got a talk on YouTube that's been downloaded 50,000 times. I tell people I'm famous in anonymous program. Woo! Right. It's like being a master criminal in jail. Who gives a fuck? Right? Yeah. So everything I have, I owe to the Fellowship of Narcotics Anonymous. I don't have the heart to say no when they ask me to do anything. I'll go across the fucking world if you want me to, right? Heal my whole fucking family. What are you kidding me? Heal my son. I'm going to end with a song. I hope you're open-minded. Sorry to get so real on you guys, but this is part of the deal. We can have fun, but we also need to get real, right? Because I'm in the saving life business. I don't ever want to forget that. I can't tell you how many people I've spoken to that were going to commit suicide or they were going to go back out and die. And I talked to them, and they changed their mind, and they stayed clean. And they celebrated 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. When I go to bed at night, I feel good about myself every day because I spent the day helping people. The song sums up everything I believe about Narcotics Anonymous. It's called The Last Time I Saw Michael. And I heard it from a friend, Gail, from Nashville, who wrote it. And I said, can I share that song? She said, oh, it's a gift from God. Pass it on. And it goes like this. Someone introduced us somewhere. I don't remember now. I guess we started talking, but I don't know what about. Michael was from Florida by way of NYC. And from that moment on, he became a friend to me. Well, I always used to see him, and sometimes we'd drop by. And every time he'd be alone, just trying to get high. The high was never high enough. He tried day after day. And helplessly I watched his spirit simply slip away. God, he used to sit and brag the money and the dope he had, but I just can't forget how sad Michael looked to me. Well, I read the evening papers. They called it heart attack, but I know damn full and well he overdosed on smack. So now the party's over. They've gone and rented out his space. I never will quite forget the look on Michael's face. God, he used to sit and brag the money and the dope he had, but I just can't forget how sad Michael looked to me. Well, I like to say in closing, the story's sad but true. And somewhere lives a Michael and me and all of you. And I am deeply grateful for what I have today, because I would be where he is if it wasn't for NA. Thanks.
Man, if y'all like that song, you're going to like this one. We got to go. Y'all were great tonight. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Thank you very much. Y'all have a good night.